Viking Wong, how you doing, brother?
Same old.
Same old. So yeah, today's guest, we have Mr. Tone Anderson, who's an extraordinary individual, man. Extraordinary individual, and he's got so much energy. And yeah, it was actually just great talking to him and stuff like that. With regards to his experiences, London, Guam, Shoyoroll, Fokai. Is it Fokai? Fokai. Etc. So, without further ado, let's introduce Mr. Tone Anderson. So listen, man, how's things been? How's this whole lockdown been for you, man?
Lockdown, man, you know what? I've always worked from home. And it's funny because when this all went down and people were trying to rearrange their lives, and it was like, for the first time in however many years they'd had kids, they'd spent more than 2 hours with them. And yeah. I hear all the crazy horror stories. But for me, man, on a personal note, I'm nothing but blessed. And I'm in a lucky position because I was working, you know me, I'm never in one place longer than 3 days. So yeah. I'm just that's, you know, all about that life, you know? So I kind of was already used to it. I love people. And I need people in my life. I need to share vibes with people. It just feeds my soul. And so probably the biggest challenge is just being disconnected from being able to be out with my community and be out with my peoples, you know? I'm gutted that I can't fly to London, and because we were planning to come back to London and go to Paris, do Fashion Week and all this crazy rad stuff that I've never done. Speaking about Fashion Week, and I always look forward to coming home to London, and all of this kind of turned it upside down. They're talking about quarantine, and that sounds a little bit like jail. So I don't really want to mess with it. You know what I mean? But quarantine overall, man, has been great. My wife, she's a tax attorney, so I never get to see her when she was in the ivory tower, they call it, the office, yeah? So when this thing happened, we set her up an office at home. Now I see her all the time. And like, I realize how hard marriage could be all of a sudden. I thought I had it good. I was like, yo, this is great. And then we were like, you need to get the hell out of here. This is my office. You know what I mean? You can go back to work. Yeah, man, I'm fortunate and I'm blessed. For everyone out there, like I that are going through it, and we were talking with Kurt Osiander the other day, and it's real hard to hear like how hard the jiu-jitsu industry is being hit by this. Yeah, they're in the last phase to come back in. So that part, while I'm sitting and I'm thinking about all my brothers and sisters out there that have gyms, and that this is directly affecting like the grocery bill. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. The grocery money's getting taxed, the rent is getting taxed, and like how much longer? And that's the part that worries me the most. So I just keep everybody in my prayers, and I try to be optimistic that we're gonna come out of this. And I know we'll come out on top of this. We always do. The human's the most resilient thing besides a cockroach. You know what I mean? And a rat. Anyways, man, what's up with you guys? How have you guys been taking it?
Go for it, man.
Not too bad. I mean, to be honest, it's been like a extended holiday, and I should be enjoying it more. I mean, I do enjoy it, but it's forced upon you. So the timing's a little bit strange, and when it's forced upon you, slightly different.
Yeah, it's forced. And have you guys been staying in place as much as you can and not really? Well, I know Viking, you don't leave the farmhouse; everything's there. But do you, for the most part, guys stay in?
Yeah. I mean, we've got land, so it's it is like we are blessed too. We've got land in the mountains and stuff, so it's a lot of area to just move around. But I don't know. When someone tells you that you can't go out, it doesn't matter how big the place is, you're going to feel trapped. You know.
Yeah, all of a sudden you want to turn up. That's just the human instinct. You want to all of a sudden go to your first rave when they tell you, "Yo, it's dangerous to go outside." You're like, "Man, I've always wanted to
Oh, but you know our lifestyle. We travel a lot. Like Ju travels a lot. I travel a lot. You travel a lot. And all of a sudden we can't travel. And I'm just sitting here like, I mean, the food is good, you know, straight from the farm to the kitchen. But
yeah, yeah, man. Because it's one thing to be in your house and then just go outside, but like it ain't like going to the pub, is it? Like it's not like. And in London, Jude, like you're in London where there's millions of people. As soon as you step out the door, and you have to go outside.
Have to go outside. Oh, well, mate, I'm blessed as well, man. It's that it's you know, I've got the park just up the road, and I've got a garden and stuff like that, and yeah, it's good. But I'm a workaholic, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just love to hustle, to work, and to connect all the time. And that's the thing. That's the thing that I miss the most. You know, that connection. And I think that's with a lot of people as well. I think that it's less about missing jiu-jitsu, but missing that connection that you have outside of your other world with the people that have similar, you know, interest to you. You know, and that's one of the big things which I miss from jiu-jitsu. So, which is funny is because I never thought I'm one of those guys because I'm lower on the totem pole than you two lads. But listen, I'm one of those advocates that's like, God, man, jiu-jitsu kind of sucks for me. And it does at where I'm at, right? I'm not like, oh God, I love jiu-jitsu. I'm like, shit, jiu-jitsu. That's more like my vibe. But for the first time, I'm finding myself going, shit, man, I miss jiu-jitsu. And I don't know if that's because going back to what Viking said, that I just, now that I can't, I want to go, which is a bit cheeky, but.
I think it's like cutting weight when they say you can't have this, and then all of a sudden you just want to eat, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, I've never cut weight before, so it's probably something I should have been learning.
I'll be honest. Besides from the roles and the outlet that you need to have every day, and like the interactions with people, I'm not really missing jiu-jitsu that much.
that's a big part of it, apart from the roles, the interaction with people.
That's like the only two. Like those are two things you absolutely have to do.
But there's there are all the teachings and planning lessons and figuring out all that other stuff, even like warm-ups and
yeah you know what, it's called any type of exercise that doesn't have to do with fun first. Like yesterday I rode a bike around the bay with a bunch of friends, big birthday ride, and it was great. San Diego was like a diamond. It was blinging out there. And we got out, and that's exercise. It's like biking, snowboarding, skateboarding. I never trained to do it. I just get up and do it.
Do it, yeah.
You know what I mean? And I wish that like my jiu-jitsu, I can't wait till my jiu-jitsu feels like that. Like I just get up and I throw my skateboard down. I fall, boom, I get up. But I don't know if it's, no, I do know what it is. I used to say, I think it's age. It's totally not. It's laziness. And I'm just lazy. I'm okay with it. But I have a terrible diet. These are two things that you can't be in jiu-jitsu if you want to be good. Lazy and have a bad diet. It doesn't equate for success in jiu-jitsu, does it?
Nice, man. Nice. So, Tone, man, tell these people about yourself, Born in Guam.
Yeah.
What is it like?
I was born in Hawaii. My dad was in the military when I was coming into the world, and he was stationed in Hawaii. But yes, I'm originally from Guam, from the island of Guam. It's for people who don't know where that's at. I remember when I first moved to London, I think I was the only person from Guam in London at that time when I met you guys.
and now that you've left, there's no one here from Guam.
I haven't seen any posts because I would know that person. But I'm lucky to be from a very beautiful, beautiful place, and it's always on my mind and in my heart. I try to get back once or twice a year. And if I'm gone, I'm never gone longer than 2 years. But biking, you know, every so often I get to share it with my close friends, and I was able to get Viking out there. I'd love to have you back there too as well, Jude. They barbecue. It used to be just surf and barbecue and fish and do things like on the island like that. And now it's jiu-jitsu. And like you have to have the 3 elements. You have to surf, you have to skate, and you have to scrap. And scrap meaning fight. And jiu-jitsu is a fight. So a lot of people don't know that, like in the Shoyoroll logo, the 3 dots when that logo was made, those 3 dots are actually the 3 dots stand for the elements of surf, skate, and scrap. A lot of people don't really realize that. It was kind of like when they were building the ethos of the, when they were building the ethos of the brand, they thought of that. But yeah, man, that's where I'm from. I grew up a lot of places because, like I said, my dad was in the military, and then him and my mom's patience ran short. Let's just say that of each other. Yeah. And then I was living in 2 places. And then, but yeah, between California, Hawaii, and Guam is where I grew up. And as soon as I was able to get a passport, I was out, you know, and I've been fortunate enough to travel to places that I never even, that I still probably can't spell correctly. But I've it's been great. That's me, man. I'm a probably like action sports intermediate all the way across the board. Yeah. And like I said earlier, I just love people. I dig having a good vibe and a good time. And for me, it's always about a good time, even when it's a shit time. You know what I mean? Yeah. We're not here for a long time, so we got to have a good time. You know what I'm saying?
100%. 100%.
Yeah, man.
So what was it like high school like for you? I'm trying to connect the dots in between like this Tone who we have here and like.
So from when you dig back into that, now careful, okay? Because you'll wake up a beast. You'll wake up. No, so I tell you what, I never stopped being a kid, and in a second I'll show you what I mean by that. But I never stopped being a kid, and I think I never really was a mean person, like do stuff intentionally to be mean. That was never my thing. I hung around some mean dudes because when you live in the neighborhoods here, and my parents were like middle class people, but in America back in like the 80s, 90s, that means you lived in the hood. You lived in the hood. So I lived in a hood, or it's like our estate, our councils. I lived in the ends, and it was rough. So I was around scary people, but it made me want to be a nicer person, I think, out of it. I've always been good looking. I've been cursed with that. So, no. So I think girls became a distraction early in my life. I was into BMX and all the same, and like bicycle riding and all the same things I do, like literally till today. I was a B-boy. A lot of people don't know that, or maybe some people do know, but I was a B-boy for many years, and I did all the elements of hip hop. I was like submerged in the culture, like deep. Yeah. And then when trip hop and rave and all that stuff came out, I was really always into getting out and partying and having the best time, like it was my last day on earth. And in high school, man, I think it was the era of like you were either a gangbanger or a dancer. And if you were from a neighborhood but you didn't claim it, that could be worse than being from an opposite neighborhood. So you could say I banged a little bit. I ran with the gang, the local gang of my neighborhood, and I won't say no names so it doesn't create any side. But you know, but it taught me a lot. I learned. I never went to college. High school was it for me. I barely made it through high school. I had terrible ADD. At that time, they didn't know how to address that, except for like dosing kids up. If your parents had enough money and your medical was good, they'd feed you with all kind of pills. But I was terrible ADD, and which ended up working out for me in the end. So to all my teachers, there you go. You're still number one. I'm sorry, you can bleep that out, but I totally meant it. You could blank out the finger, but you can't take out the stinger. No, yeah, man. So I guess I kind of struggled through school and high school, and my parents being apart, and it was a rough one. You're living in violence, and all around you, and you're trying to figure out, am I ever going to get out of this? Am I going to live through this? I think when I was in high school, I remember being sent back to Guam, and my mom telling me I had to go back to Guam because she had seen something on the news. It was like, it was something about the life expectancy for a minority male in the county of Los Angeles was 16 in like the mid to early 90s. Wow. And like, I was about to become, I think I was like 14 and turning 15, and my mom was like, yeah, you're going back to Guam. So here I was, this kid from urban, like everything urban and going on. And I was like this street kid. And then I get sent back to this tropical island. You know what I mean? Like I had like 100 more tricks up my sleeve than they had even seen. I was that kid, I looked like I came from Mars. Like the way I dressed was completely different, Yeah. And so the girls dug it. The dudes hated it. Yeah. And I tried to finish school on Guam. Ended up getting in neck deep in trouble, and came back out to California and finally decided to clean it up. I ended up not graduating from high school because, funny story, the school that I was going to, unexpectedly, someone burned down the office, but just the administration office of my old school. So my transcripts had been sent to the school, and the protocol is they send it to the school and the school sends it to the new school. So they had burnt the papers, and my entire education record was burnt. And trust me, that's like, I wasn't sad about that, right? The part that stung though is my counselor calls me. She was such a sweet lady. She called me in to her office, and she had to break the news, and she said, hey, you got to do your junior year. And I did things that I wasn't even trying. I thought I was a senior, or I was a junior about to become a senior, which is the last year of your high school here. And she told me I would have to do an extra year of school. And I was struggling so hard to do good. I was on the football team. I mean, I just wanted a letter in the cool jacket, but I made the damn team. You know what I mean? And you had to have good grades. And I was doing after school study things like, what? After school? No, that's time to like go behind a tree and puff one, not go to another extra learning class. And so I was gutted, and that was the end of it. But I did go eventually 2 years later. It was eating at me, and I went and got my high school equivalency. So school, man, I wasn't there for an education, but it taught me all about different people. And I grew up in a different way. I educated myself in a different way. And a lot of guys that come from the ends or come from a hood, we get educated in a different way. And it doesn't, nowadays, more people talk about becoming successful from that place. But back then it was like, you're not getting a job ever if you don't go to have a high school diploma. Yeah. You're not going to college and like my family didn't teach me about college, credit cards. I didn't learn nothing about that. Like if I was going to college, that's because I felt like I wanted to make rockets, not that my dad believed that I was making rockets. And that's not a sad sob story for anybody out there. It's just what my reality was, It was when your parents don't have that level of education. And my stepmom, she graduated from college, but she was so busy working, and my dad went right into the army. So no one was really pushing an agenda. And like, you ever look at a horse, you never bet on a horse that's limping at a horse track, do you? Right? Yeah. Like, and so when you have like brothers and sisters, the kid that's going to college is the kid that they think's going to make it through college. So let's just say I was the limping horse in that situation. But with a pimp limp. They thought I was injured, but it was just it was swagger. That's what it was. Swagger. It was swagger. Anyways, man. Yeah, that was it. I spray painted on things probably I shouldn't have spray painted on. Yeah, man. And I experimented, and I did all the things that any one of those characters in the movie Dazed and Confused did. I did all of those things twice.
Nice.
So now you know, the world knows.
The world knows.
I can't see how many followers. Is it like 37 people in the world now know? But it's not the count. It's not the quantity. It's the quality. And I understand that.
It's a conversation. It's the conversation.
It's a conversation, man. It's a conversation.
So listen, fast forward. I'm not too sure how long about the time gap, but then to Fokai.
To Fokai. Okay, so Fokai happened years later. I didn't mention earlier, I had a kid really early. I had my first daughter was born when I turned 18 in May. She was born in August. So I was a young dad. And so I was grinding and doing any job that I could possibly do. When I was back in Guam, jumping back into Guam. When I was in Guam, I was I believe I was the brand director for Coors beer. I don't know if you guys have that yeah, you do. You have Coors Light in the UK. So I was a brand director in our part of Asia for that, and worked with a liquor company. And Fokai was just getting started. So my partner Roman De La Cruz, he was the founder alongside John Calvo, and I believe at the time it was Pat Fleming. Three guys. If you ever watch it, I just had to shout all three out because it's the true history, right? So these three guys start this like brand, and Rome and Pat at the time had worked at the port, at the fishing port on Guam, and we all like everybody that was in that circle were real tight, and I happened to become roommates with one of Roman's best friends, and John Calvo and I had history from high school and stuff, and so. With the promotion background and understanding marketing and things like that, I kind of like slid in as like helping friends do events. Like I was just looking at pictures of a skate event we did. And that's how I got connected to Fokai. It was really through one of my roommates. And then me and Rome, we're soulmates, man. Like if you meet Rome, he's the same
twin.
soul.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, he's the same soul in a different vessel. You know what I mean?
They even sound alike.
yeah, it's really crazy. We both have the same lisp. We both will put A1 steak sauce on I don't care how beautiful of a steak cut, aged, whatever. It's getting A1 on it straight away. You know what I mean? Brown sauce, I think, is what you guys call it. But so I ended up to Fokai, and one day I was working at an advertising agency, and these two dudes brought me into a meeting, and basically I was getting a shaft, and which was strange because I had brought the opportunity to their office.
Yeah.
And it was good. And I'd worked hard to make Coors what it was on Guam at the time. And I said in my mind, you know what? I was like, we were planning to throw our first ever pro MMA fight on Guam together. There'd only been a few. I don't know if you remember TJ Thompson from Super Brawl. He was doing Super Brawl on Guam way back in the day. And finally, when we realized that it was all the local guys on the card, we were like, wait a minute. We could totally do this, you know?
Yeah.
So I was sitting in this meeting. We were in a Burger King, and they were like, yeah, look, man, your salary, you got to work twice as much. That's the pay. And I told them if I wasn't decent enough, I would have turned both of you inside out. And I walked out of that meeting, and right as I was walking out of the door of that Burger King, I picked up the phone and I called Roman. I said, we're doing it. We're doing the fight. It was a Nokia. I had a little Nokia brick phone.
Yeah.
Call him up, and I'm like, we're doing the fight. Let's go. And then from there, I think that was, I think from that point, I never looked back really. Like it was Fokai with me all the way till now. I have it on my body. I always tell people Fokai's got to be in you, not on you, you know? And we started there, and that was an amazing journey. And I was like, fuck, man, we did that thing for I did that gig for long, man, more than 18 years or something like that, or 20 years, wow. Something like that, 18 years. They're about 27 years old, 28 years old now, I think. Yeah, man. But that was a gig, and My part was I had eventually moved away from Guam and moved out to California. And then after I got my feet settled here, I ended up opening what was called the Fokai SoCal Project. And that was the infancy. That was the infancy of MMA as we know it in California. MMA was still illegal and was only happening on Indian reservations. And so it was pretty optimistic at that time to open up a all-inclusive MMA, Jiujitsu, boxing, Muay Thai gym. But we did it, and we had a store, and we were the only other store outside of Guam and Japan. It was here. And so I kind of like cut my teeth with Fokai in terms of like running a brand. But at the same time, I was never just doing one thing. Like Fokai, even when I was doing Fokai, I was doing 20 things. And leading up to Fokai, a lot of people don't know, like I've been drawing in between from high school to Fokai. I worked for other brands and I was an artist and I taught myself how to do graphics. And I was a graffiti artist. And I stayed, and even though I had to do a regular job to feed the fam, I never quit my hobbies. I never quit any of my hobbies. Even if I could do them only 1 hour a week, I never quit any of my hobbies so that they stayed with me. These are the things that gave me life. I hated flipping eggs at Denny's. I absolutely hated it. But I can make a badass over easy egg. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I still draw and I still play records. I still DJ. I still do all the things that I love to do. Pop Willies, pop White Claws. I don't pop Mollies anymore. Yeah, so that's it, man. I'm chatting shit. Like, yeah, so and then when I got, anyways, back to that Fokai, when I got with Fokai had this deep respect amongst the MMA world because we had attached ourselves and our relationship with Ensign Inouye he had exposed that to people and Pride and everybody. So all the old school dudes who know Fokai, old school dudes, I'm including you in this, okay? Like if you go back, you hide it well, my friend. But if you go back to like the early Ultimate Fighter, the season 1 and 2, which they tout as actually being the reason the UFC is still here today. That show, right? They attribute that. They say that that's what kept them alive, right? Well, if you look at Dana White, I remember in the first and second episode, there were one episode where he wore 9 different Fokai shirts in that episode. There wasn't an endorsement deal. There wasn't any of that. Well, that was love and respect that somehow through someone connected to Fokai. It was actually Richard Chu and that whole thing. And like all of a sudden we found ourselves connected to the royalty of MMA. And you put someone creative and you give a creative person access, that's all they need. That's all I ever needed. All I ever needed is instead of someone holding the door, all I need is a crack in the door to grab it and catch it. And when I was in, and it's been a wonderful adventure. I'm for being more of a lover, I've been surrounded by fighters and it's been interesting, man. Yeah. Fokai will be with me forever, dude. And I go weird places, random places, and someone will see me wearing a Fokai shirt and they're like, yo, Fokai. I remember one time Chuck Liddell, we're walking through the lobby and all the who's who of MMA. I think we're at a strike. We're at a strike force or something. We were walking somewhere, but he was like, I see Chuck Liddell and he spots me and he goes, yeah, Fokai, real loud in this lobby. And I remember being like, oh my God, I feel like such a fucking boss right now. You know? Yeah, it's cool too. And when Dana sees it, he always shouts it out. And like, it's this magical thing. And I think if you go to Guam and you feel Guam or you feel someone from Guam or someone who's directly associated with Fokai, then it is no secret why people have that reaction. It's a company built off of beautiful people. And I mean that they're all super tight. It's like a family. And you know, most brands will use marketing and they pay the top athlete. And it's the way you do business to get your brand popular, right? You pay a top athlete or someone who has a lot of followers. But Fokai really, no matter who we knew or who wanted to get sponsored, we never did a paid endorsement thing. You know, we stayed away from all of that, and we wanted the brand to grow from its roots and be appreciated for what we were, not who's wearing it. And and I think that also has to do something with its like DNA and why people react to the way they do when they see it. The word itself means to distribute and share, as aggressive as it sounds, because of its American, the American the F-bomb I've used a few times in this interview podcast. It sounds aggressive, but its true root meaning means to distribute and share. So if you caught a bunch of fish and you came back to the village, you would Fokai it to the village, you know, give it to everybody. Later, when Guam started to become more westernized, and after the occupation of the Japanese, there were a lot of Americans on Guam, right? And so the F word, fuck, became more heard on Guam. And so Fokai, because it means to distribute and share, like if you use it aggressively, it means also I'm going to distribute and share my fist on your face. Yeah. You know? So Fokai, if you hear it like that, it means to like punch you. So it was cool because we found ourselves, we were always martial artists, and Fokai found itself around all these MMA guys, and the context, even though it meant to share our message, also applied in terms of a fight. So that's just a kind of weird history about it, you know?
Yeah.
Sorry, stop me guys when I get on these rants, because I'll go forever, bro.
No, it's good. It's good, man. It's good. It's good because it's like, you know, it had such an impact, you know, because like it's even part of the Urban Dictionary now, you know. I bet it is in the Urban Dictionary. And you know what's crazy is there's rare interviews of us talking about it, and I think even people are so protective of it from the core of it, they don't talk about it. It's just kind of like James from Supreme. Like, look up how many interviews he has. It's not a lot. It's hard to find one. If you look up Roman De La Cruz and interviews on Fokai, there's not going to be that many. You're going to have to dig a little bit, you know? And yeah, we didn't want it to be about us or anything. It was about its the vibe, and it still is. But every now and again, someone wants to talk about the old days, and we're lucky enough to share them. So I appreciate you letting me share it. It makes me smile big and deep inside when I get to talk about some of the best days of my life, you know? Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So jump to Shoyoroll. How did it all happen and your involvement happen and stuff like that?
So it's funny because Shoyoroll, I've known Bear since he was in high school too. And I've known...
jumps back to my high school question. It keeps going back to high school, huh?
Yeah, no, but I'm way... Here's the thing, dude, is I'm way older than these dudes. Like, I probably was on my third kid when they were in high school still.
Hold on. I mean? Just to say, you wear it well. Just passing the compliment back.
I appreciate it. Rock and roll. No, I've known... Bear's wife even since she was literally, I remember seeing her as a baby because I know her older sisters and her brothers, that I remember seeing her as like a young like baby, you know, and or learning to walk or just that age, and to see like and be working with them. It's just strange that life is like you feel like you're getting old, but it's all but everybody younger than you catches up eventually. So anyways, I was talking to Bear. I was talking with Bear before I was going to move to London, because I had closed down the gym business, and the Fokai SoCal project had kind of come to a halt, just priority shifts and stuff. And I was kind of like in a depressed world because I didn't really know what I was going to do. Really, I was kind of like not depressed, but I mean, I guess I wasn't hustling hard, and that can be depressing for a hustler, right?
Yeah.
So
Sorry to jump in, but the Fokai SoCal, does that have anything to do with the Undisputed gym?
yeah, that did, and that's where that's that block in between. So when I started the Fokai SoCal project, it was in a gym that I was a partner in called Undisputed. Basically, at the time, we were the Geneva of gyms in San Diego. We had all kind of people here, but yeah, we had a store, and that was where our store was based out of this gym. And that was the gym that Dominic Cruz, when he left from Arizona, he came there. There was Brandon Vera. There was War Machine trained out of that gym. There were a ton of guys. Liz Camouche, I remember when she walked in the first day we had a ton of people. I think Manny Pacquiao walked in one day. Gina Carano. We saw the likes of everybody. Mayhem Miller. It was great. It was an awesome. It was an awesome vibe there. That's where the Fokai SoCal project was at. And while we were doing Fokai SoCal project, there's an event that happens every year in San Diego called PIFA. It's the Pacific Island Festival. And one year I decided to do it, and it was a huge success. And I think a couple years, after the third time I was going to do it, Bear had started Shoyoroll out here, and he hit me up to see if I wanted to split a booth, because we'll always find the most economical way to be a part or to do something always. So we split the tab, and at the time Shoyoroll was very, very new, and in Jiujitsu, that saying you did Jiujitsu was like saying you were from Guam. It was like you would always get the you need a deeper explanation. You couldn't just stop there. And so we were doing the booth, and so Bear and I had connected again, and our relationship evolved now on more of peers in the same industry. He's printing shirts and trying to have a brand, and every so often my phone would ring, and he would have a question for me. I remember one day Bear going, "Dude, what do you think I should do with Shoyoroll? And I have a good job, but Shoyoroll's I feel like it can do it, but it's not, and I can't bet everything on it." And I was like, "Well, here's what it is. You either bet everything on it and enjoy the ride in case it doesn't get to where you need it to go, or get better at your job and be the best at that. But being married to two women is impossible. That's you can't do that. You can do multiple things, but when you own a brand and then you got to go clock in somewhere and it's like a job, you can't do that. If you own two things, you can do it because you get to clock in, you get to dictate what the expectation, you have to live up to your own expectation. But if you have a job and you're working and your dream is your hobby, quit your fucking job, chase your dream and do it. And this is the conversation we have. And then at the end, you could always get a job and say you've just been doing rad shit the last 5 years or however long it took for you to go out of business, right? Yeah. So Bear one day calls me and months later goes, "I did it." And I knew exactly what he meant. He goes, "I did it, man. I'm not, it's Shoyoroll, 100%. I'm so proud of him." And then you started seeing Shoyoroll make moves. They started linking with Budo videos. Boom. And all of a sudden it was this crazy culty thing. And it was super rad. And immediately all of a sudden, it was just almost an overnight, but it was really what was a process of I don't know. I think I saw the first Shoyoroll. It was early 90s on Guam. And it was actually all the Fokai guys were the older guys. We're a little bit older generation. We were the kind of the ones inspiring our youths to start their own clothing brands. Dude, from Guam, if you meet a person from Guam that doesn't own their own clothing brand, they might not really be from Guam. I swear to God. There's 1,000 brands from Guam. People always trip out. You go to Pacific Island Fest and they're it's supposed to be a festival for all the islands.
Yeah.
But there's 100 Guam brands there. And it's it turns into Guam Fest. So funny. Yeah, it's so funny. Anyways, back to what you were talking about. We're talking about how I got to Shoyoroll. So we've had me and Bear have had this long relationship. My wife comes home one day and says, hey, we can go. It was 2 or 3 other places, but London was one of them. And she goes, I can interview for a rotation and we can just fly over for a vacation. So I had flown over and, oh man, London was in its proper form of shit weather, cold, leaky, but I'm one of those guys who I'm always curious, what's over the fence, and I was totally amused by it because I dig music history and I know London's music culture and art culture. And so I was fascinated by it more than turned off. I came out, my wife smashed her interview and she got the job and we moved from San Diego to London. I was there for 2 months, but before I left, I met up with Bear and I said, hey, if you need any legs over in Shoyoroll, on the other side of the pond, I'm there for you, brother. I got you. And he's like, okay. About 2 months into living there, Bear hits me up and says, hey, about that thing we talked about, what do you think? And I was like, fuck, absolutely. It was still, at that time, I think 6 years ago, that was, 6 years ago, Jiujitsu was a totally different thing in the UK. Completely different than what we know it today. Didn't have no trend. There wasn't a lot of people. It was still very culty and small. And I had nothing else to do. I'll tell you what I was doing in London. I was I was learning the bus and tube, which I got down really, really good, public transportation. And then I went to every single pub that probably in every borough of London and craft beer place. And that's all I did. And so I was happy to do it for a friend. And that's how I officially became a Shoyoroll guy, was the move over. But, and speaking of that, the community of Jiu-Jitsu is super tight and I love it. And a lot of people don't know that all the brands, in some way, we communicate with each other about industry stuff, or maybe there's just some genuine friendships. And so Lee and Gareth are really, really from Tatami, are really good friends of mine. And I can't talk about going to London and not talking about how gracious of a host they were when I arrived. They literally, these guys, we were there for 3 days. They jumped on a train, came from Wales, came to meet me for a little while and then jumped back on the train and went back. And I know that's typical business in UK, but I just thought it was really awesome. And how I had linked with those guys is they were trying to get into California. Tatami had just started. They wanted distribution in the US. Yeah. They needed a link to Jake from Budo Videos. Yeah. Neil in Wales reached out to me because he was down with the Fokai boys already and asked if I knew Jake. I made the introduction. Gareth and Lee messed up, or whoever sent the boxes out messed up on the order, sent the entire order to my apartment. I mean, my 40 boxes of gis, and literally I lived on the 3rd floor. This poor UPS guy, I know he was cussing the whole time. He took all these boxes up and it became this fiasco. But out of it, started the communication with us and we became good friends. And so they were very helpful of saying, yo, telling me who all the characters were in the game out there, who's this guy, who's that guy. And they were very open to share it with me because they knew that people can consider us competitors in terms of that we fight maybe for the same dollar in the same industry, but we're in different categories and we stay in our lane and do what stuff we do well and they do their stuff well. And so we can talk and collaborate. And I think that's a beautiful thing, but yeah, that's the start of, that was the start of Shoyoroll UK. Early on, I linked with, Viking. Me and him met and sat on a bench and we're drinking beer in a park. And I was like, dude, you would totally get it. both of us will get thrown on the ground, frisked. If this was in
just
California,
behind King's Cross.
literally sitting in a park with people walking around like they had something to do, and it was in the middle of a weekday, and we're sipping beers in paper bags. I was dying. I thought it was the best thing ever. And then it was like, yeah, and that was what I realized is the maturity on how people are able to handle things, and how important decorum is to someone from the UK in English, and that's why they're allowed to have the privilege of drinking outside. Whereas here is like, yeah, you guys can drink outside, and then next thing you know, you have to drive down a road of glass bottles. That's how it normally go down here, you know. We kind of take our freedom to the next level. We're like, oh yeah, we want to be extra free and extra dumb. Freedom. So that's how that happened, man. And then luckily, when it started to go, we had already been doing business with an internet dealer, Grappler's Delight, I believe is Hassan's old company. Yeah. And we were selling. He was one of the only ones outside of Shoyoroll selling geese. So selling our geese. So I connected with Haas. Haas was working in his garage, his family's business, and then garage. And then we walked across the street, and he bought me, blew my mind, bought me a Mars chocolate milk. The Mars
petrol
one.
Station. That's across
from
the
from a little petrol station. And I was mind blown. I was like, yo, and we became best friends then and business partners. You see, I'm real simple like that.
Alcohol and
Yeah. So Hassan was, and I met him, and I was like, wow, he's like straight out of a Guy Ritchie movie. This is fucking great. He has like the strongest Cockney accent, but his morals and his values, he's an awesome dude, man. You know, and like I said, man, I've been blessed with like the raddest people. You, like Viking, all you guys helped shape the story of what Shoyoroll is, and you guys are the story of it. It's not me. I'm just the instigator. I was the messenger they didn't kill. You know what I mean? So
I don't know, man. About a month after you're in London, I remember we met up in Angel or so, and all of a sudden some black BMW or Mercedes just pulled up and like, yo, Tone!
That would happen.
I've been in London for 10 years and no one recognizes me.
You want to hear funny? I'm walking with same shit happened. I'm totally downplaying like my, I don't know. I don't want to say popular, but how many people I guess I know in London. And so I'm walking with Leandro Vieira. We're walking on the canal from the old Shoyoroll studios to Angel, catch breakfast. And I'm like, yeah, man. He's like, man, it must be crazy. You're the only Chamorro out here. What are you doing? And if you know Leandro, he's a very comedic and fun guy, you know? He's the humorous of the three Vieira brothers. And we're walking down the canal. I'm like, no, I don't really know that many people. We get to the Breakfast Club. There's a queue like there always is. And then the guy comes out and he goes, hey, Tone, welcome back. Hey, hold on, how many you got? And I was like, well, I had 2. He's like, chill here, mate. And I'm going to get you sorted real quick. And I was like, and Leandro's looking at me like, And I was like, no, I come here. I was just here yesterday. I was bullshitting him. And then on the way home, from across the canal, a window flies open from one of the buildings, and a guy yells from across the way, my boy Jeremy, hey, Tone, what's up, you crazy fucker? Across the canal, right? Now this is 2 people that are just shouting me out as we're walking down. So Leandro's telling me, he's like, man, I think you're selling more than geese. Why do all these people know you? Right as he's saying it, a FedEx van passes us. a Jamaican guy, and obviously me and the FedEx guy are like best friends, the Royal Mail, like sending out things every day. I know these guys, you know? And so you see this FedEx passes flying by, and then it skids, and you hear it, and then it reverses all the way back down this one-way road and then stops next to me. And me and Leandro are wondering, what the hell's... And then the Jamaican guy goes, "Wagwan, Mr. Anderson." And you all right? And I was like, "Yeah, man, I'm good. Everything good, my brother." And he goes, "I'll see you at 3:00. And then he skirts off, right? And then I'm looking at Leandro, and then Leandro's like, "Yeah, I'll never believe anything you say ever again, dude. Like, that's 3 people." And literally, I was like, that never ever happened except for that moment when I was telling him I barely know anybody in London.
But that's the kind of character you are, though, you know. And I think for me personally, I like to hear that because I like to hear that about London. It's my home, you know what I mean? And I think it's really important that people experience that in London because it is like that in its core, in its essence. It is like that, you know. You live down the road, your neighbours will shout you out and stuff like that, you know. You meet them.
Yeah, shout you out, man, and they'll know if you're real. You guys, I know it over there. And I say you guys is like I'm a part of it. Us, you know, London is a piece of me forever. It's a bit of me to the days that I die. And I'm so happy I get to be the guy to usher in an amazing brand that Bear and the guys and girls at Shoyoroll built. I get to be the guy, I get to be the messenger. But on a deeper level, I really, really genuinely have a deep respect and love for London. And a lot of people that don't get the chance to peel back the layers and get deeper to the core. But I feel like that's why I love London, is because you guys are kind of protective of it. You don't just let anybody in who chats shit. You kind of got to go through some filters, or you guys got a keen sense on like, this guy's a tourist who came to see Big Ben. Fuck off. You're making it crowded. And then the other guy who really wants to go down in Camden, like down to Camden, who wants to go to Notting Hill during what's Notting Hill Carnival, and you know what I mean, and like someone who really wants to pop willies on a 4-wheeler like through a council estate, like that shit's dope. Like I'll do that in my own neighborhood. And so I connected real quick. I remember these 3 boys, man, and I would hear about violence and stuff in London, and anywhere can be a violent place. And anywhere there's poverty, there's probably violence. You know, there's frustration and there's struggle, there's going to be violence. And so I'm walking back to the flat by myself, and these 2 guys, or 3 dudes, stop, and the window rolls down, and there's some youths in the back, and he goes, "Well, fam, what you saying?" And I was like, "Oh, nothing. What's up, guys?" Throw them a shotgun, and they were like, "Hey, you," and they showed me the weed smoking hand sign, the universal, you know, without saying. And I said, yeah, I totally do, but I'm good, man, and I really appreciate the offer. And they're like, "Man, I knew it. I could look at you and I knew it." And these were 2 like the equivalent of like gangbangers, I think, you know. Of course, I recognize it. You don't have to have a blue rag or a red rag for me not to know that you're banging for your set. So they were just stopped and were amazed and wanted to share their weed with me because they ain't never seen somebody like me, I guess, in that neighborhood. And then I would see them around, I would see them at the store, and before you know it, I kind of felt like a little bit of a Mr. Rogers in my little part of London, you know, and like London became like London to me. I tell everybody this, and they like, that's like the weirdest comparison. I always tell them London reminds me of Guam, because that's the kind of love and respect I would get. And like, people are about their shit and decorum. And I didn't know what decorum was. I didn't know the word decorum until I moved to London. And then I learned decorum and banter at the same time. Now, that was the one that took a little getting used to, is like that like sly insult shit, you know? that like, I didn't know I was an asshole. But you just told me I was an asshole, but you didn't say I was an asshole. You guys don't even say asshole. You guys say cunt, and I love it.
Yeah.
I brought that word back with me to America, but it has a completely different reaction.
Yes.
And so I depend on who, and then I educate people about cunt, because I said cunt, isn't just a bad word. It's a great word. You could be like the top cunt in Scotland. That means like you're the best dude. Like, oh, I love that cunt. You know what I mean? Like, it's like an asshole saying like, oh, I love that guy. He's an asshole, but I love him. You know what I mean? So there were a lot of things, man. I deeply fell in love with that city. And the more I met people, and the more everywhere is going to have their dickheads, and everywhere is going to have that guy who he's not going to be happy anywhere. So he'll just make everyone around him miserable, or woman, right?
Yeah.
But for the most part, London was love to me. And London in the summertime man, if you can catch all 7 hours of its summertime weather, there's no other place you want to be.
7 hours. 7 hours. So listen, what's next for you, man?
Next for me immediately is I'm gonna go get rad on my bike again today. I didn't get enough yesterday, but I always have a few projects in my pocket, or crazy ideas, and the wheels never stop turning. So what I did during the quarantine is I built this little laboratory here. I'll give you guys a little tour of my turntables, right? Oh. And then I kind of got like they're two of my heroes right there.
Oh, look at those decks.
And
Nice.
so, like I said, I've never grown up. I have some Guam slings here. Remember the 36 chambers?
Chambers, yeah.
So that's the
nice
guy
one.
from the 36 chambers. That's his action figure from him. I got this guy, little fat Tony the Tiger, kind of like reminds me of me, like if I was Tony the Tiger. And I always stay spiritual, you know what I mean? Got that hot shit. My bikes and stuff, and right around here is my desk. Huh?
Nice.
And
that's a beautiful man cave, man.
Yeah, well, this is the laboratory, yeah? I also can wash clothes here, but it's the laboratory. And let me put these mushrooms back where they belong. So
you've got one in every house.
Yeah, so this is my this is the laboratory, man. This is the garage, or for you guys, garage. But this is where I like the creative ideas run for me, and I spend my time in here. Thinking of the next plan, not to take over the world, but definitely to travel it again. I'm working with. We launched this thing through Shoyoroll called Gondo. It's this new It's just another media for Jiujitsu practitioners, just talking about things that we think are cool, and they're not always about Jiujitsu. And we see Jiujitsu the way we see it. Everybody has their own perception of it, and so we decided, we're not your sterile type of personality. What I mean by is we're not very conservative guys. We're wild. We like wild things, and we know there's a lot more people that are like us. So we did it to connect with the people who are like us, And so a lot of people have seen this thing and been like, they take it like, oh, it's just another maybe a marketing or this, and it's not. It's really to connect and expose some of the rad people that are rad outside of jiu-jitsu, that do rad things, live a rad life, or maybe they've done something and it's not even significant. They're trying to be more than a jiu-jitsu practitioner. And I think if you think about the state of affairs we're in, that should be on the top of every black belt instructor, school owner's list. Is the first question is, what else am I good at? Because guys and everybody listening to this, as long as governments control what they want and control our lives to a certain extent, they get to say what's legal and not legal. So unless we go underground and we become like the bootleg moonshiners and we're doing fight clubs and hitting things, which I'm not opposed to, right? Like, you'll see me there. I won't tell you which one, but but unless it goes to that, in which it won't, it can't be sustainable. Anything illegal can't be sustainable, right? So think about, the question is think about what else you're good at, man. Or go get good at something, but don't be one-dimensional. I get you love jiu-jitsu. I love jiu-jitsu. No, I take that back. I like jiu-jitsu. I like winning in jiu-jitsu. How about that? I love winning in jiu-jitsu, but I feel like a lot of people got caught with their pants down and they were puffing their chest, and the whole, like, when they were the guys saying there's no ego in jiu-jitsu, but they were so egotistical that they only chose one skill. And that ain't a good thing. That person is probably in a desperate, hard spot. And I'm here for that, dude. And I'm not saying you messed up, but it's not too late to fix that. And so learn something else. Be good at something else so that you don't have to rely on jiu-jitsu to feed you. Yeah. Over here, they're saying October might be. Like, are you going to pay your rent of your school till October with no students? You're going to pay the lease, and then, no, you're not. You're going to spend every last dime, and how are you going to survive? So I really don't stop doing jiu-jitsu. And when we get back to normal, definitely, I pray that all the schools that can be open are still open. But man, yeah, it should be more than a awakener. And I see a lot of people crying about the same thing, and rightfully so. They want to work, but we also got to protect each other. And so jiu-jitsu, when you're saying like, I just can't wait to I'm going to train and I don't give a fuck. I'm going to open my school and I don't give a shit. Like, that might be kind of selfish. You know what I mean? Like, why don't you get better at something else? Yeah. We all can, you know. I live by my boy Paulski up in Union City. He's a b-boy. He has this thing called always a student, and that's what we all gotta be. We're always a student. Even the master's a student, you know. Because when you stop learning, you stop growing. And so if you've only grown to become a black belt, world champion, blah blah, this that, great. You fucking beat everybody's ass in your weight division by points, whatever it is, I don't care. And now that you don't have a job and you don't know what you're gonna do, you're kind of like, that gold wasn't a real gold medal, bruh. Like, it was a great achievement, but take that thing down to the pawn shop and you won't get 2 bits in it. So, you know, some reality check for people. You know what I'm saying? I hope I didn't go overboard with that, but. Guys, man, if you know Uncle Tone, I'm straight up. I'm not going to feed you the shit. I'm not here to feed you no bullshit, you know? I don't live no lie, and that's why I look like this guy. Get out and learn something else. Be something else. Be more. Be as many things as you can be, but don't be one thing. You get caught with your pants down, and it ain't working. Jiu-jitsu can't submit COVID-19, unfortunately. Jiu-jitsu got its ass tapped out by COVID-19. Sorry to tell you. What happened? You know what I mean? And it's going to get back to some kind of new normal. It'll never be the same. But even if the government said, hey, you can open your school tomorrow, but only half the people. Now that means if you were running a school part-time, now you got to run that school full-time, and you got to organize it, and you can't have as many people in the room and maximize your potential earning. So, dude, you guys got to figure out a new thing. Get good with technology. People are working out in the living room. I remember we were talking about this with Kurt Osiander, yeah? Mm-hmm. Remember he was Richard Simmons? Oh, he hated us. He was so pissed for this. Richard Simmons, back in the day, if you've seen a Richard Simmons workout video and people dancing around in leotards in their living room, yeah. We have a word for that, but I'm going to keep it that PC and I ain't going to say it, okay? I think you guys say no, I don't know. But anyways, that's what we're doing now. There is no difference. You're exercising and physically fit in the living room. And there's nothing against it. And for everybody who talks shit before this about internet jiu-jitsu, it's okay. You've been forgiven. But to support our community and to support these guys, when you see them put up these sessions and put up these jiu-jitsu sessions, they are effective. They do work. You can do them from home. So keep going to class, even if it's in your living room. That's for the students. But for the guy who owns the school, bro, learn how to use Zoom. Get someone there. If you can't speak English and your audience is predominantly English, get someone in there to translate it for you. But let's figure this out. Just like if we were getting smashed and we were on the bottom, let's fucking figure this out. We could sweep it. We could sweep the situation. We can't beat COVID. We can't. We got to leave that to the doctors and the scientists. But we could sweep this shit and put the motion back in our favor. You know what I'm saying? But it takes both sides. It's going to take both sides to make this thing work, because the old way is gone, and it's gone forever. It ain't coming back. Social distancing is here. Motherfuckers is wearing masks. It's fashionable to wear a mask now. Like, it ain't going back. I swear to God, if I have to wear a mask during training, I'll hyperventilate. You know? But what if it came to that? And so I'm saying, instead of us really just waiting to hear what the government's going to tell us, don't ever wait. Because half of what they're going to tell you is the truth, and half is going to be more beneficial to a certain class. So if we fall out of that, man, we're asked out. And as a community, if you have the information, share it. You know what I mean? Reach out to your instructor. If you're the computer hacker guy, that's this sleeper killer jiu-jitsu guy, but you know about internet shit, call your instructor and tell him, yo, I could get the website jumping and the Zoom thing cracking and the IG live smacking, and get on it. You know what I mean? Get back to work. Let's not wait. Let's not wait anymore, guys. Nice. Be first, no less. You know what I'm saying?
I think that's that. Listen, man, we've hit the hour mark, man, and I think that's an awesome way to just finish on stuff, man.
I was gonna say we had a good 5 minute, but I think Tone just nailed it.
Oh, man, yeah. We do this thing, like, you know, after every guest that we have, we just got to do a good 5 minute, just like a minute of just some advice and stuff. But you just nailed it, man.
Well, I appreciate you guys' time, man. I could talk to you too forever, man. I love both of y'all, man, and I'm glad that you look safe and healthy and as beautiful as ever. And I can't wait to see you both again. I know I saw Viking not too long ago, but I know you've burned me on, like, Jude's burned me like 3 times on he burned me 3 times on 2 different occasions. Nah, I'm kidding. I know you're a busy man, and hey, listen, man, you're smashing it with Bellator, and I can't wait to see. And if anybody deserves it, it's you. I hear from everybody that fought with Bama that you're one of the best in the game, and you're always a pleasure to work with, and it's never a surprise to me because I know you on a personal note. And
cool, buddy.
Yeah, man, I hope that you and your families are safe, and that we get back to earning soon, and yeah, man, keep you guys head up. I'll see you sooner than later. You know, as soon as that shit opens, I'm on a plane, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, man, I'm on a plane. And I'll come see you guys, and Viking and his family, and they're my family, you know? As soon as I'll tell you where COVID-19 isn't cracking off so hard is Guam. So maybe that's the move. Maybe we're all
real.
Maybe
as
we're all.
As I can travel, I'm going to Guam.
You know, maybe that's what we're meeting in Guam. You know, one of these days, man. One of these days, we'll be sitting, and I'll get to say once again, "I told you so." I love you guys, man.
Listen, man, thank you very much, man. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for your time.
Hey, man, Jiu-Jitsu forever, guys. See you later in a fight club near you.
All right, brother. Take care, yeah?
See you soon, later, man.
Take care.
Man, all the best.
Bye.